What's going on, world? Welcome to my podcast. It's just different with Ty, where I talk about sports, social, political issues, you name it, everything under the sun. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can get all updated on the latest new videos. And let's get right into this.
Welcome to It's Just Different with your host, Ty.
So it's been a while. I'm back. And I was watching an interview uh, with Stephen A. Smith. He had Jaylen Brown on. And for those of you that don't know, Jaylen Brown plays for the Boston Celtics. And he's someone that I actually like. I'm not a Boston Celtics fan at all by any means, but his morals and his integrity, what he stands for, I definitely love that in him. And while he was on Stephen A. Smith's podcast, he basically talked about, just who he is and how he basically is a voice for the community and the things that comes with that, and so on First Take today, of course, they talked about it, right? Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe, and they said some things I don't know. I don't know how to take it really. I felt like Shannon Sharpe was saying it in a negative way, possibly, but I want you guys to listen to this. And again, please comment. Again, like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think. So we're gonna listen to this right now.
I asked Jaylen about that. Remember his idols, the people that he talked about the late great Bill Russell. They just renamed
Ali,
the bridge
probably.
out of Muhammad Ali as well, and what have you. Outspoken individuals who were dogged about uplifting our community and paying rapt attention to it and putting forth extreme efforts and taking major sacrifices in order for the betterment of our community. Those are folks that he idolizes. And understand. Everything that comes along, Molly, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's just going to involve sacrifice. And when I asked him about that, he said, it's a sacrifice and it's a price that I'm willing to pay. And I have nothing but profound respect for that man because he is not somebody that's delusional and foolish to the consequences that may come down the pike. He seems willing to embrace it. And I have no choice but to respect that. All of us.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly respond to that real quick. Just a quick second. So Stephen A, again, when Stephen A initially did this, he didn't really, add in all the other different things, when he basically talked about Jaylen Brown last season, when he said, he's not marketable. Now Stephen A. Smith didn't say this. He got a text while the show was live going on from a quote unquote source saying he's not marketable. He thinks he's better than everyone and whatever have you. And again, not even the sources, not even saying he said that, but this is what he's implying, right? So if I would say my thing to Stephen A. Smith, if Stephen A. Smith basically respects that Jaylen Brown is doing this for the community and the voice and willing to risk it all on the line. The one thing that I felt Stephen A. Smith should have said is, and we're going to have his back and we're going to support him and we're going to make sure that this brother, what happened to Colin Kaepernick, we're going to do our best to make sure that doesn't happen to Jaylen Brown. I would have loved for Stephen A. Smith to say that, but, he's not going to say that. So, let's listen to what Shannon Sharpe has to say.
There's a cost, and
Steve,
sometimes
Molly,
it's bigger than sports. No, I understand 100% where you are, Shannon. Absolutely bigger than the brands and all of it. I'm just saying, I respect it. I respect the man.
I think we also do. But Stephen A., remember, Ali lost 3 years of his prime for the stance that he took. When we think about the great Dr. Martin Luther King, Dr. King was never beloved alive as he has been in death. Muhammad Ali became a beloved figure all of a sudden when he couldn't speak as well as he once could.
Yeah.
That is
Got it.
factual. I'm not breaking any news to anybody. Go back and look it up. Dr.
Totally
King
fact.
was one of the most hated men in America. So was Muhammad Ali, one of the most hated men in America. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. King was the most hated. He became beloved in death. Muhammad Ali, people all of a sudden had empathy and sympathy for him when he lit the cauldron in Atlanta in 1996. I'm not breaking news to anybody. I commend Jaylen Brown for the stance that he took. But you have to understand that a lot of times when you make these kind of sacrifices, you take these kind of stances, these are some of the blowback, these are some of the things that will come along with it. He shouldn't stop. I'm not saying he should stop and sacrifice his integrity for $1. I'm just saying these are some of the things that come along with it.
It's
Mama.
reality.
Okay. Okay. There's a lot to unpack there. And I'm going to try to be as nice as possible as I can with Shannon Sharpe. Okay, so Shannon Sharpe brings up Ali, Muhammad Ali, the late great Muhammad Ali, and the late great Dr. Martin Luther King, and basically says, and again, I'm not just I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit, that they were never really loved like that until their deaths, and also until certain things happened in their life to where they was no longer seen as this, that, and the third, and whatever have you. So I don't know where Shannon Sharpe has been, and he's older than me, so I'm gonna try to be respectful with this. But this is an example of, again, of some Black folks seeking validation from white people. Shannon Sharpe just basically represented that with his comments by saying that. He was never loved. Like, are you telling me that the Black community, and again, we're not going to say 100% because not 100% of all people is behind the same agenda. That's just what it is. But are you not telling me that the Black community wasn't in support of Muhammad Ali? He literally was the people's champ before white folks got on board because of the things that he stood for, the man that he was, his morals, his integrity, his values, him being unapologetically being a free thinker and speaking on issues at a time when a war was going on, and at a time where, Black man, you got to know your place. He spoke up against the powers that be, the white power structure. Muhammad Ali did that. And again, this is a man where, yes, he did lose 3 or 4 years of his prime. And the community loved him. And again, he was still able to roam and hop on the train and, still get love from the community. So to put this narrative, false narrative out as if he wasn't really loved like that, that's false. See what Shannon Sharpe is saying is white folks didn't love him. So because white folks didn't love him, that was seen as an issue to Shannon, because Shannon, again, might have this self-hatred mentality where we need validation from white people in order to make it official. Then he goes on and then he talks about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And yes, this is why it's important to have context, to provide context and be transparent. So when he talks about he was the most hated man in America, which at a point in time he was, but then give the reason as to why. Don't just leave this blanket statement as he was the most hated man. Who was he hated by? Shannon, who was Dr. Martin Luther King hated by? The FBI. Why? Because he wanted the best for Black people. He wanted Black people to have the same things, equality that white people have. See, Shannon didn't say that. Maybe he was scared to say that. Maybe he can't say that because, you know, when you're on those networks, you only could say but so much before they put that lash out on you, you know? So he's not providing context at all. He's not giving the full details on why Dr. Martin Luther King was hated at that time and by who. He's just saying that. Now, yes, there was a small few within the organization that, you know, that didn't like what Dr. King was doing, even felt some of the things he was doing was radical, you know. Yeah, so you're gonna have that. But by and large, when he was leading marches, when he was speaking, a lot of white folks was there. And again, we don't need their validation, but a lot of white people was there. Black people was there. So this thing was by him saying, well, he was hated. J. Edgar Hoover, they hated him. You remember what they said. Anyone that can electrify and unify the movement, you know, that they must stop the rise of any they didn't say Black person, but it's basically saying Black person. They must stop the rise of any Black messiah that can electrify and unify the movement, the people. And Dr. Martin Luther King did that. He was articulate. He had charisma. He was intelligent. He had all these great attributes. So and then he wanted, you know, again, yes, there was a time, you know, I have a dream and, you know, we sit on the same bus together and drink in the same fountain. But then he started moving to a more nationalist, Black nationalist kind of thinking. And later on in his years, the last years of his life, started changing his thinking somewhat, you know. But again, the FBI hated him. The FBI had him on the list as the most hated, or you know, we don't like this person, the most volatile person to society, whatever. It was the FBI. But Shannon, you should know this, and why you aren't saying this is mind-boggling. So he gets up there and he says, "Oh well, this is facts. You can check it up. Anybody can check it up. Yeah, and anyone can check up who was actually behind this narrative and who was pushing this. Who benefited most from for having Dr. Martin Luther King assassinated? Who really benefited from that? Why are you not saying that on this big platform, Shannon Sharpe? Why aren't you saying this? You gonna tell me you don't know? You know you know that other stuff, but you don't know this. You're not getting the pass for that. You're not getting the pass for that. You know, I'm not gonna say you're you know, selling out. You know, I'm not gonna say it. I'm just gonna say you're just pushing of a narrative, a false narrative, for whatever reason that it may be. I assume or I think your reason behind that, but I'm not 100% sure. So that's the only thing. And again, Shannon Sharpe also could have. Not mean you have to. You're not obligated, but you also, if you felt that what Jaylen Brown was doing was commendable, was honorable, was just from a great space to do this for Black people, you also could have said, and we're gonna look out for my brother, for my young brother. We're gonna make sure that he's protected, or we're gonna do what we can do. He didn't say that. He didn't say that. And he's not going to say that, you know? So I'm just not feeling how they had a chance to me to really make a stance and let it be known that, hey, we're gonna, not only do we support or we respect what Jaylen Brown is doing, we're gonna be behind it. They didn't say that. Shannon Sharpe or Stephen A. Smith did not say that. So they got to be held accountable for that. But other than that, again, that's just me. This is how I feel. You guys can agree to disagree. Thank you for watching. Again, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And thank you guys for watching. It's Just Different with Ty. Peace and love.